mornings that begin just like any other. Sunlight filtering through the leaves, a light breeze moving across the fields of Alsace, and not a single sign suggesting that something unusual is about to happen. But in Saint-Blaise-la-Roche, a small, quiet village, nestled at the foot of the Vosges Mountains, September 23rd, 2023, became a turning point, one that shattered a long-held sense of safety. Imagine a provincial road, straight, lined on both sides, it's by sparse woodland and wide green meadows. On that road, a 15-year-old girl, walking forward, filled with anticipation, on her way to meet the person she loved. The distance, just 900 meters. The time, less than 7 minutes. Yet, within that brief space of time and distance, Lina Delsarte disappeared. No cry for help, no sign of a struggle, no witnesses, only the silence of the road and the surrounding forest. Before we go any further, take a moment to stay with this story. If you are interested in real missing person cases told based on investigative records and what has been verified, you can subscribe to the channel, not for entertainment, but so that names like Lina do not fade into silence. Lina Delsarte was a girl who embodied everything typical of being 15, young, open, and full of life. With her blonde hair and a smile that was always present, Lina was at the center of her family and deeply loved by her friends. Saint-Blaise-la-Roche is a place where people are used to not locking their doors, a place where danger is believed to be something very distant. That morning, Lina prepared carefully. She wore a white dress, a light blue jacket, and her familiar white shoes. She had an appointment with Tao, her boyfriend, in Strasbourg, to catch the train at 12:03. Lina left home early at 11:15 a.m. on September 23rd, 2023. She chose to walk along provincial road RD 350, a road she had walked hundreds of times before. At 11:20 a.m., a moment recorded permanently in the investigative file. Lina sends a short video via Snapchat to Tao. In the video, she smiles, her hair moving gently in the wind, showing her outfit, and speaking about her excitement, about seeing him soon. That is the last image of Lina, alive and free. 2 minutes later, at 11:22 a.m., her phone signal cuts off abruptly. From that moment, Provincial Road RD 350 falls into complete silence. Before we speak about theories, data, and the investigation, let us pause to look at what Lina left behind. In her bedroom, on her desk, the notebooks for her upcoming exams remain untouched. In the display cabinet, there is a new pair of shoes she had just bought, saving them for a friend's birthday party the following weekend. Lina's mother, Fanny, recalls that very morning, Lina was still excited, talking about what she would cook for dinner when she came home. Those small details make one thing clear: Lina had no intention of running away. She was not in conflict with her family. She had plans, appointments, and a future waiting ahead. As Lina walked along that 900-meter stretch that morning, she believed she was simply going from home to the train station. She did not know that it was the final boundary between an ordinary morning and a disappearance that would force all of France to question the meaning of safety in places once thought to be peaceful. At 12:03 p.m., the train pulls into Strasbourg station. Chitou waits in the main hall, his eyes fixed on the flow of passengers stepping off the train cars. 1 minute passes, 5 minutes, then 10. Lina's white dress does not appear. Tao calls her. On the other end of the line, only the impersonal voice of an automated message. The number you have dialed is not reachable. A sense of dread arrives almost instantly. Tao calls Lina's mother, Fanny. Just a few hours later, the largest search operation ever launched in the Bas-Rhin area officially begins. Local gendarmerie units, along with hundreds of volunteers, fan out across the region. They form search lines, move slowly through cornfields, wade into small streams, and push through every thicket in the Vosges forest. Thermal imaging helicopters circle overhead. Search dogs are brought to the scene that same day. But then, an unusual detail appears. The dogs, trained to follow scent with near absolute precision, all stop at the same point on RD 350. Lina's scent ends right there. It does not continue. It does not lead deeper into the forest. There are no signs of a struggle on the soft ground. No clothing, no belongings left behind, and the search continues, but the forest offers no answers. When no physical trace can be found, French investigators shift to technical analysis. IMSI catcher systems are used to scan all mobile devices that connected to nearby cell towers around Saint-Blaise-la-Roche during the time Lina disappeared. Thousands of data points are sent to the analysis center. Each phone number, each movement pattern is cross-checked. At the same time, investigators review every vehicle that passed along RD 350, dash cameras, home security cameras, traffic cameras. More than 1,500 people are questioned. Dozens of homes and garages in the area are searched. There is no ransom demand, no suspicious calls, no indication that Lina is still alive or that she is deceased. While the investigation stalls, social media begins to boil. Suspicions quickly turn toward Tao, the boyfriend. The Snapchat video is scrutinized. His facial expressions on television are analyzed. But GPS data, along with official interrogations, remove Tao from the list of suspects. Once again, the investigation reaches a dead end. 10 months pass, no leads, no answers. On BFM TV news broadcasts, Fanny appears, with eyes hollowed by sleepless nights, asking anyone who knows something to speak up. But the miracle does not come. 10 months without answers. And then, inside a quiet investigative office, a young investigator rewinds again and again a blurry recording from a security camera at a small shop a few kilometers from the scene. Amid the steady flow of traffic, there is a detail once overlooked. A Ford Puma, gray. It appears, not just once, but at 2 locations that do not make sense, within the same time frame. The vehicle does not belong to any resident of the area. It passes through the frame, fast, silent, and disappears into broken pixels. For 10 months, the truth has been there, very close to Lina, and very close to that fatal 900-meter stretch of road. It's just that, until now, no one realized what they were actually seeing. For months, the most cruel part was not simply the absence of news, but the news that appeared, only to vanish again. Every few weeks, the police hotline would ring, with a caller claiming they had seen Lina. Some said it was a girl who looked exactly like her, at a highway rest stop. Others said they had seen her in a grocery store, near the border. Each time, the investigative unit had to return to the starting point, extracting more footage, cross-checking more data, reopening every time window. And then, the result repeated like a sentence. Wrong person, wrong time, wrong detail that once seemed certain. For Lina's family, every call meant their hearts were brought back to life, only to be crushed again moments later. The psychological torture did not come from a blow, but from the endless cycle of hope and collapse. Fanny Grohl appeared repeatedly before the media, both appealing for witnesses and speaking out against rumors and online attacks, which pushed the family one layer deeper into exhaustion. Without full access to the investigative file, she tried every possible way to miss nothing, from fragmented accounts to theories circulating online. Not because she believed everything, but because in a missing person case, loved ones sometimes cling to any fragment of information, simply to keep themselves from collapsing. The Lina case gradually became an open wound, not only for one family, but for an entire community that once believed their countryside was a place where nothing ever happens. As familiar suspect avenues are gradually ruled out, the investigation is forced to look in a different direction. Not someone within her circle, but someone with no prior connection at all. In investigative practice, this is a scenario that makes cases far more difficult. No communication history, no relationship, no clear motive for the family to trace. Only an extremely short window of time, on a very short stretch of road, enough for an opportunity to appear and disappear. The area around RD 350, with its empty stretches, sparse woodland and open fields, could allow a vehicle to stop for a matter of seconds and drive away before anyone had time to notice. And that is when the focus shifts, when within a data analysis unit in the Grand Est region, investigators begin revisiting the list of vehicles recorded in the area, from dash cameras, home security cameras, and other visual sources. They are no longer searching for a person alone. They are searching for an anomalous object, something that appears in the wrong place, at the wrong time, and does not belong to the local setting. During those cross-checks, a gray Ford Puma begins to stand out as an anomaly. Later, when this vehicle is seized in an unrelated context, forensic analysis reveals Lina's DNA on the rear right seatbelt and on her bag inside the car. Those details do not form a complete story on their own, but they create something more dangerous, a connection. A connection between the morning of September 23rd, 2023, and a vehicle that did not belong there. From this moment, the investigation is no longer confined to the Vosges forest. It begins to move toward something darker, something behind the steering wheel, and inside the mind of the person who turned those 7 minutes into an irreparable void. July 2024. Nearly 10 months after Lina disappeared. So as the family and the public gradually run out of hope, a turning point emerges from a place no one was watching. A vehicle impound lot in southern France. During the processing of an impounded vehicle, investigators check the license plate data, through the national system. On the screen, an alert appears. The vehicle, a Ford Puma Gray, the same car, previously noted by investigators in the Alsace region months earlier. Through GPS data and dash camera images, the vehicle is immediately sealed and transferred to the forensic laboratory of the French National Gendarmerie. There, every detail is dismantled. Seats, floor mats, cargo compartment. Under forensic lighting, traces invisible to the naked eye begin to surface. On the seatbelt of the rear right seat and on a bag inside the vehicle, experts discovered tiny DNA samples. The forensic results leave no room for doubt. It is Lina Delsarte's DNA. After nearly a year, this is the first piece of physical evidence, and it is also the evidence that forces the investigation to confront a painful truth. Lina did not disappear on her own. Provincial Road. RD 350 was not the place where she vanished. It was the place where a vehicle stopped for a matter of seconds, enough to steal the last 7 ordinary minutes of a 15-year-old girl's life. The vehicle leads the investigation to a name: Samuel Gonen, 43 years old. But when police prepare to question him, they realize they have arrived too late. On July 10th, 2024, in Besançon, Samuel Gonen takes his own life. He dies before any direct questions can be asked. Records show Samuel was not unfamiliar with minor criminal offenses, theft, violence, but he had never been classified as a dangerous sexual offender. Samuel was the father of 2 children, a man with an outwardly ordinary appearance, but with a history of addiction and prolonged depression. GPS data reveals an abnormal journey, hundreds of kilometers, with no clear destination, just driving, stopping, then moving on again. In the note he left behind, Samuel admits that he had lost his humanity and no longer had control over his own actions. He dies, taking with him the most important answers, and leaving the police with a single task remaining: to find Lina, based on the traces of someone who no longer exists. The investigation enters its final phase. There are no more suspects to question. Only data remains. At IRCG, the Criminal Research Institute of the French National Gendarmerie, experts extract all available information from the systems of the Ford Puma. Not just the routes, but every stop, every minute, every second. Samuel's movements after September 23rd emerge like a maze. Dense forests, marshlands, unmarked paths. One stop, unusually long, draws attention. The Nièvre region, more than 500 kilometers from where Lina disappeared. A sparse forest, far from residential areas, and with almost no human traffic. This time, the search is no longer blind. Teams are deployed based on GPS coordinates accurate to the meter. There is no longer any hope of finding Lina alive, but there remains one single objective: to bring her home. October 2024. In the cold of the Nièvre forest, a search team stops in front of a deep drainage ditch covered by decaying leaves and broken branches. Beneath the mud, a piece of white fabric slowly comes into view. And in that moment, no one on the search team needs any further confirmation. October 16th, 2024. A brief press release, carrying immense weight, is issued by the Strasbourg prosecutor's office. The body of Lina has been found in the area of Saint-Blaise-la-Roche, in the Nièvre department. More than 500 kilometers from where Lina was abducted, investigators discover her remains, buried beneath a drainage ditch in a remote forest, isolated and nearly untouched by human presence. The forensic examination confirms a truth that cannot be avoided. Lina was murdered not long after being forced into the gray Ford Puma on the morning of September 23, 2023. The investigation found no personal reason why Lina was targeted. And that is precisely what makes it most frightening. Because on that morning, Lina did nothing wrong. Samuel Gonen's journey after leaving Saint-Blaise-la-Roche was not a panicked escape, but a deliberate series of movements across multiple regions in search of a place far enough, isolated enough, to dispose of a human life. Before he could be questioned, Samuel Gonen took his own life. That act did not close the case. It only ended the possibility that he would ever stand before a criminal court. From a legal standpoint, his death meant no verdict was delivered, no prison sentence, no public moment of facing the victim's family. Yet within the darkness, some things were not broken. There was the resilience of Fanny, a mother who never accepted silence as an answer. There was the perseverance of hundreds of officers of the French National Gendarmerie who reviewed millions of gigabytes of data to locate the smallest point of inconsistency. In Saint-Blaise-la-Roche, residents lit candles along RD 350, the road where Lina was last seen. White flowers, portrait photographs, not to close the case, but to affirm one thing: Lina existed. And this world will not treat her disappearance as just another statistic. We close the Lina Delsarte file, not to spread fear, but to face reality. That danger does not always come from dark places, but from roads that feel most familiar. 900 meters, the distance Lina walked that morning, and also the distance between an ordinary life and an irreversible tragedy. Samuel Gonen did not face a prison sentence, but he did not escape the truth. The truth, established by science, by data, and by what cannot be denied. Lina was brought home in a way no one ever wanted, but she is no longer a forgotten name lost in the forest. There is no moment of closure for a mother who waited for her child for more than a year. Lina's room is still there. The familiar objects are no longer memories, but absences that remind her every day of a loss that cannot be filled. The family did not only lose Lina, they lost a future, plans that never had the chance to begin, and mornings that should have continued, like any other morning. No sentence can ease that pain. No apology can return 15 years of youth cut short. For Lina's family, justice is not a legal concept. Justice is that she is not forgotten, and that Lina's name does not exist only in a case file, but in the memory of those who still speak her name every day. The truth, established by science, by data, and by what cannot be denied. Lina was brought home in a way no one ever wanted, but she is no longer a forgotten name lost in the forest. There is no moment of closure for a mother who waited for her child for more than a year. Lina's room is still there. The familiar objects are no longer memories, but absences that remind her every day of a loss that cannot be filled. The family did not only lose Lina, they lost a future, plans that never had the chance to begin, and mornings that should have continued like any other morning. No sentence can ease that pain. No apology can return 15 years of youth cut short. For Lina's family, justice is not a legal concept. Justice is that she is not forgotten, and that Lina's name does not exist only in a case file, but in the memory of those who still speak her name every day